All right, guys, welcome to Dude Guide Bro Films. Today, we're going to talk about some lighting basics. We're going to talk about the language of light. We're going to talk about how to identify what a light is on a set, and we're going to talk about some basics on light meters. All right, a little bit about me. I came up in New York City working in photography. My primary background experience is working in portrait lighting for teams for photographers. I've worked on magazine covers. I've worked on advertisements. I've worked on matching light from still sets over from a motion set. A lot of times we've been on an advertisement where we were shooting both motion and stills, and I would be consulting with and advising the motion team to match our lighting. So that's my background. I'm not a film guy. I didn't film on a lot of different sets. I'm not a union guy. So if you're watching this, it's because you want to learn about how to light people and not as much about lighting spaces, okay? So we're going to talk about the basics of the language of light: quality, quantity, temperature, and direction. These four things are the way that you can look at lighting so that you can be very specific with what you're deciding to do with your lights. Let's start with quality. Quality is about how much shadow. Do we have dark, rich, crisp shadows? Do we have very soft light with no shadows or very little shadow? Those are the two polar opposites that we work with: hard light and soft light. An example of a hard light scenario that's natural is the sun. And generally speaking, when we're talking about a hard light source, you need a small source that is far away. As far away from the subject as possible is going to give you the darkest, crispest shadows. If you were to reach out into the sky when it's a sunny day and you could just put your finger up in the sky and you could blot out the sun. It's 93 million miles away. It's very small in the sky, but it makes a laser of hard light with those crisp shadows that you see in Western films, that you see in tough photography and gritty magazine covers. It makes people look tougher. It makes intensity. And in a studio environment, if you're trying to replicate that, you need to get a small light source that is far away. Get as far away from the actor as you can within reason. You're gonna have to be dealing with your exposure issues with that and how much power you have on that light, but that's the general formula. Small light, far away equals hard light, dark, rich, high contrast shadows. On the other side of the quality spectrum, we have soft light. And soft light is a big source that is close to the subject. You're talking about a natural source like a cloudy day with a really low cloud cover. The sun, as it hits that cloud cover, it scatters and diffuses, and it is going to be coming in and hitting your subject from many angles, which lift those shadows up. And depending on how thick that cloud cover is and how bright, you're gonna have very shadowless features. Now, shadowless light and soft light has a completely different feel. It is gonna be a more beautiful light. It's gonna be a more relaxing light. It can be used in filmmaking to make a more ethereal feel. Maybe somebody just went to heaven. Maybe somebody is time traveling. You're gonna have something where with this soft light, it's going to make the audience feel more relaxed. It's the opposite of that gritty, hard feeling. In a studio light environment, to get a soft source, you need the opposite of the hard light. You need, instead of a small light far away for a hard light, you're gonna want a large source as close as you can get it without being obviously in the camera frame. So quality, we're talking about hard and soft light. We're talking about dark, rich shadows on the hard light side. We're talking about shadowless and less shadows when it comes to the soft light side. Now let's get to quantity. All right, when we're talking about quantity of light, we're talking about how bright each light is on a set. If you're a pro, you're gonna be having a light meter, you're gonna be pulling that out and you're gonna be measuring and seeing how bright your key is versus your fill. And quantity of light refers to that relationship that you're building on a set, whether you're using even just one light, but certainly when you're using two. As soon as you have a second light, like a key and a fill, you need to know the ratios. You need to know how much of that light is affecting the shadow angle, is affecting your subject as the other light. Going on to temperature. Temperature, in the most basic setting, temperature means color. The most basic things in filmmaking and photography that we're talking about with color are gonna be the two major calibrated colors, which are gonna be 5600 Kelvin for daylight. That's that whitish bluish light. And then you have the opposite of that, tungsten. Tungsten is 3200 Kelvin. That is that warmer orangey light. Those are the two major calibrations. You're gonna see them on light bulbs you buy at a store. If you go to any big box store and you're buying light bulbs, you're gonna see it's calibrated to a certain color temperature. And in filmmaking is no different. It has to do also with how you decide to set your white balance on your camera. If you're shooting daylight and your lights are set at 5600 Kelvin, you're gonna wanna set your camera at 5600 Kelvin as well. You're also gonna need to take into account what is the other ambient light setting you're dealing with. Are you filming near a window? And if you are, is there daylight coming through that window and the light inside is tungsten? If you set your camera to the wrong color balance at that point, you're gonna have a mixed color temperature light on your actor's face. And then there's the stylized components of temperature. Temperature is also gels. When we're talking about gels, they are these transparent materials that you can put in front of your lights that are gonna allow you to change the color temperature of any light. Lee, Roscoe, professional brands, they sell a full gamut of colors that you can choose from. And lastly, we have direction. Direction is simply put, where do you put your camera in relationship to the subject? Is it side? Is it frontal? Is it a Rembrandt 3/4? Are you edge lighting from behind? Direction has a feeling to it. When you put a light on somebody, it's gonna cast, the key light is supposed to cast that shadow. So where you position your light and the angle you set it at will cast the shadow a certain way. That is all sets a mood and a feeling. And remember, no two people are gonna have the same look on a light. If you have someone with a big nose like me and you're stepping into a frame, you're gonna need to light a certain way. If you have someone else stepping on that same mark, it's gonna be different. So keep that into account. Learning direction is a big part of that. So together, that roundup was quality, how hard and soft the light is. Quantity, how bright are different lights in relationship to each other. Temperature, what colors are your lights and how does that relate to what you're setting your camera white balance to? And lastly, we have direction. Where are your lights hitting your subject from? All right, that's your quick review on the language of light. Okay guys, so now we're gonna get into what are the different names of the different lights on a set. My key light is gonna be the light that is gonna be casting the direction of the shadow. Now, we're not getting into quality right now. Right now I have a medium white or large white umbrella on my key light. You could have different light sources. That's gonna change the quality, but here is our key light up here. It is the brightest light to my subject. That's me on this one. And it's gonna be casting the most shadow, okay? Below that, we're gonna have our fill light. Our fill light is right underneath the camera. This is also, I would say, and I would consider an eye light. An eye light is a fill light, but this is much lower power, and it's so you're getting two reflections in the eyes so the eyes don't look dead when you're on a set. Beyond that, right now we're on a black background. We're now gonna plug in our hair light so you can see the difference between two different backlight scenarios. All right, so here's a hair light. Now I wanna talk about what a hair light is and isn't. A hair light typically is gonna be up and behind our subject. If it's ever getting underneath or it's ever getting onto their face, we're no longer a hair light, okay? It's also gonna be the spot right up there where us dudes go bald, right up in here, okay? Now, I'm gonna also turn on an edge light now. An edge light is gonna be coming from one, it's also from behind, it's gonna be coming from the side. Okay, so the main distinction you're gonna have between a hair light and an edge light is that the edge light is gonna be working from the side, jawline, shoulder. Your hair light, the whole purpose of it is to provide separation from your actor to the background. They're both from behind, but the position is different. If you tilt up to our hair light, you're gonna see its relationship from me. And if you tilt over to the edge light, you're gonna see that it's back and away. Now, it's hard to position an edge light where it's in a good spot and it's not really hitting the actor's face. You'll notice if I turn a little bit left, this edge light is now gonna start to hit the side of my nose, the side of my face, and it's no longer really functioning just as an edge light. You're also gonna have some issues with edge lights because if they're right up behind your actor or your model, they're gonna be coming towards the lens and they can sometimes create lens flares, which you may like and you may not like. So you're gonna have to be kind of creative with how you mask off your camera lens or mask off your light, flag your light from hitting the front, all right? Now let's do a little thing here where we go through and we're gonna turn off these lights one by one. I'm gonna just go back to just let's take off our hair light and we're gonna turn off our edge light and then we're back to our key and our fill, all right? Now I wanna turn your attention to what does a fill light look like or an eye light. We're gonna turn our fill light off right now. And now you're gonna see I just have my key working here. This is just my umbrella. Now, if I turn my fill back on, you're gonna see that it lifts up. The ratio between these two lights right now, for those who are interested, I'm metering this in. It's about a 3-to-1 ratio. So my key is about 3 times as bright as my fill light right now, okay? This is providing that second reflection. It's gonna make you feel a little bit more alive. It's gonna lift a little bit. If you're dealing with someone if you're photographing someone who's a little bit older and you're trying to lift up some age lines, anything on their face, you're definitely gonna wanna be working with a fill light, particularly if you have a key light that's really tall. And so the reflection of the key is up their eye line or they're tilting their head down where you're not seeing the reflection of the key light any longer in their eyes. That's when someone's eyes can get really dark and they can start to look kind of dead, which is why we start to use things like a fill light down below. What I have for my fill light, one of my favorite go-tos is 2 things. One, either a softbox some Chimera softbox, a smaller medium. I'll set it off on the set. A lot of times I'll put it right on the floor on a sandbag. I don't even usually use a stand. Right now, also for more beauty style things, we're gonna usually use a Photex shoot through umbrella. I'll take the black, I'll skin it, and then I will put the white shoot through portion on, and we'll be shooting right through that. I've had 2 of these fill lights before on left and right of the camera. I'm not showing you that today, but again, this is the whole purpose of this, is to provide lift, but not sending shadows up the face. All right, it's important that these 2 ratios between the key and the fill are far apart. I don't want to see light starting to go up my eyes and go up my face and send shadows up. All right, guys, now I want to show you a variation right now with just nothing, no front lights, no fill, no key, just our rim, and then turning on our hair light and seeing the 2 different positions of both those lights. So I'm going to turn off my front, turn off my key, I'm going to turn off my fill, and let's go ahead and turn on our edge light now. So we're just the edge, not the hair light. Okay, here's an example of just the edge light on right now. You can see where the position is, and if I turn my shoulder a little bit, it's gonna be more of an edge light. You're seeing this come over my shoulder, along my jawline. I'm actually getting some indirect bounce from my umbrella up front of my key, and of course, I'd probably wanna turn on something in the front here, but I'm giving you a feeling of what just an edge light would be like. Now, we're gonna go ahead and put on the hair light, and we're gonna turn off our edge light now. Okay, so here's just the hair light. You can tell what that looks like. It's hitting me very evenly because this one is dead over my head and it's hitting my shoulders, both shoulders evenly, but it's not really hitting the jawline, it's just the top of my head, okay? And there's no frontal lights here at all.